abbreviation of Christmas. Is that right? Well, why would you abbreviate Christmas with an X mass? What does the symbol X represent in mathematical configuration and expression? Unknown. It represents unknown, right? When you study algebra, then the first thing the teacher tells you is solve for X. Is that right? Yes, sir. Because it's the unknown entity of the equation. Is that right? Yes, so you got to solve for X. As Muslims, we receive an X. Yes, sir. Is that right? Yes, sir. We got, who has that? My dear sister, Sister Shante, who is in charge of the training of the women in the Nation of Islam here in Orlando. Her name is Sister Shante X. Well, what kind of name is X? Come on. X represents the unknown quality of God in her. Every human being has a particular and specific quality of God in them. It's called an attribute. All of you and all of us have something from God in us that we can express to the most excellent degree. There's something that you can do that nobody else can do as good as you. I'm talking about on the planet, I'm talking about in the universe. There's something that God has put in you of himself that you can accomplish greater and better than anybody else in the universe. See, this is the unknown quality of God in you. So when we come to the Nation of Islam, when Malcolm came to the Nation of Islam, he had that same unknown quality, but because we don't know what it is, we receive an X. That X means you don't know the quality of God that's in you. You got to learn it. And it also means EX, as the white man's world made us niggers, robbers, liars, rapists, murderers, thieves, and liars, As the white man's world made us that, when we come into the Nation of Islam, we are exiting out of the white man's world into the establishment of the kingdom of God, so we can't wear his name. So we get an X, which means unknown, but it also means EX. So I'm an ex-nigger, an ex-slave, an ex-negro, an ex-robber, an ex-drug addict, an ex-wino, an ex-prostitute. I am no longer that. Come on. Well, then what are you, Brother James? What are you, Sister Shante? I don't know quite yet. Well, how do you find out? We find out by working in the mission of God, and in that work, eventually we manifest that quality in us. And then those who are guided by God to recognize that quality in us. We have that one among us, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That's right. Then he will give us a name according to that. That's right. But ultimately, brothers and sisters, God is going to give us our name. Did you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you believe that?
Yes, sir.
You think you can actually meet God?
Yeah.
Do you believe it?
I do.
How many believe they're going to meet God? Raise your hand. I mean, seriously. That's right, brother. God is the greatest. But I just say what the minister said. Turn it off. But look, those of you who raised your hand, now I'm going to ask you, how many of you believe that you can meet him before you die? Before you die. You ain't got to die. Raise your hand if you believe. That's good. That's good for those of you who did, but many of you didn't raise your hand because you were taught that you got to die.
That's right.
Before you can meet him.
That's right.
Somewhere in the sky, right? Yes, sir. In the sweet, what they call by and by.
By and by.
Bye-bye.
After what?
You die.
You die. And the preacher will say, a man can't see God. You can't see him until you die. And if you see him, you're going to die. That's heavy, man. Because God put in us the #1 principle of survival, which is self-preservation. Ain't nobody got to teach us that. Ain't nobody got to teach the cockroach that. Because the cockroach want to live.
That's right.
Is that right? And you start stepping like you want to step on him, he's out of there. Is that right? Ain't nobody taught him, you got the preservation, the self-preservation inclination in you. Ain't nobody taught that cockroach. God gave that cockroach the desire to live. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
The rat, even the gnat, the mosquito. You start waving at a mosquito, they're getting up out of there. Is that right? Because there's a principle in nature coming from God that inclines you to do all that we can to survive. So now that God has put that principle in us from himself in our nature, now you telling me, God, I got to die to see you?
Please, man.
Well, if I got that principle in me and I got to die to see you, I really don't want to see you. And neither does the preacher.
That's right. That's right.
Because as soon as the preacher gets sick, you never hear them saying, I'm on my way to you, God.
Take it on.
You don't never hear them say that.
No, sir.
Don't bring me no doctors. Don't give me no medicine. I'm on my way to see my maker. You hear a preacher say that? Oh, no. Oh, hell no. Excuse my language. He ain't going to say that. He going to say, go get the best doctor that your money can buy.
That's right.
Is that right? Because the preacher that preached that nonsense, no. In their heart and in their nature, they're not going anywhere. Because you ain't going nowhere. This is the life that God has given you. It's the greatest gift that you can have. The greatest gift. And that requires more explanation. I'm not going to get into that now. But that requires more explanation. To make sure I don't lose this information that I wanted to share with you. But my point is, we need to be taught. We need a new knowledge, a new teaching, that we might become a new people. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Constantine, having that vision, wanting to get a foothold with the pagan people, he amalgamated or mixed or brought together pagan ritual with some of the principles of Christianity. So you have Easter, right?
Yes, sir.
Now what do you have to do on Easter? Where you going, baby? I got to go Easter shopping. I got to get my children some new suits, new shoes. I got to get a new dress. And I certainly got to get a new hat. Huh? But that's your Easter bonnet, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And you even have a song. In your Easter bonnet, with all the, some of you may be too young to know that. With all the frills upon it, I'll be the proudest fella. This is a man singing. In the Easter parade. What is the Easter parade? See, the word Easter comes from the word Ashtade.
That's right.
It is the name of the god or goddess of fertility. The god or goddess of fecundity. The god or goddess of sexuality. Ashtade. The pagans worship the climate, the conditions of the earth. In December, the days became shorter. Is that right? As the days become shorter in winter. Since they worship the sun, then they witnessed or observed the sun leaving them quicker than it did in the summer or in the spring. So in the wintertime, they thought that their God was angry with them because the God left. So to entreat the God, or to instill or engender the pleasure of God again with God, they began to entreat God to come back. How did they do it? With little balls that resemble the sun. So you get a Christmas tree, right? Don't you? Come on, come on, come on, come on. And on that Christmas tree, what do you hang? Little Christmas. Well, why you do that? Huh? You got what they call a wreath. It's round, right?
That's right.
You put that on your door. Is that right?
That's right.
All of these circular symbols. Why? Because the pagans would do that to say, look, we love you. We worship you. Talking to the sun. Please return to us. Huh? Now the prophet Jeremiah knew that this wasn't right.
That's right.
Because God told him it wasn't right.
That's right.
So the prophet Jeremiah said, I got to tell the people, this is not correct. So can I read to you what Jeremiah said to the people?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Okay, let's get Jeremiah. Now this is not Brother James. This is not the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This here is Jeremiah. You believe in Jeremiah, right? Okay. In the 10th chapter of Jeremiah, we read, hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. The who?
Heathen.
We're not heathens, are we? Are we sure? In fact about it, if you are a disbeliever in Jesus and in Christianity, you're called a heathen, aren't you? Aren't we? Okay. But here, Jeremiah is saying, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of the heaven. Well, where does dismay come from according to the signs of heaven? The signs of heaven is representing the sun, the moon, the stars, and the word dismay means to be saddened, to be discouraged. Is that right? So here Jeremiah is saying, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not sad or discouraged at the signs of the heaven. What sign are you referring to? The sign of the sun retreating back into darkness quicker than it normally does on other times or in other times of the year. Don't be dismayed at that. For the heathen, he continues, are dismayed at them. Huh? For the customs of the people are vain. Now I want you to listen. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest. Now you may not cut the tree, but you daggone sure going to get one from the person that cut it. Is that right? Okay. The work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. Uh-oh. You got a tree? You planning on getting a tree? And mama have a tree? How does she deck it? With silver and gold. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
But Jeremiah's telling you, don't do that. Then what? They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it moves not. And isn't that what we do? We put it in a base, and then, right? And we screw it in. Is that right, Brother Paul? Huh? And then we make sure that the base is secure with screws or whatever. See, Jeremiah had us because he knew what the pagans did. And he knew that Constantine would amalgamate pagan ritual with Christianity to deceive the people. And we are, unfortunately, deceived. Continuing, they are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, meaning someone has to carry them because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. So you keep that. How much trees cost now? Come on, y'all that had one last year. No, how much? $15, $12. Sometimes they're more expensive than that. Sometimes they're $50. I mean, you got if you got it like that, then you get an elaborate one, $50, $60. Yeah, right. And sometimes the churches have trees in them, don't they?
That's right.
Wow. Big church. There's a preacher. Jeremiah done told the preacher not to do it. But the preacher said, hell with you, Jeremiah. I'm putting the tree right in the so-called house of God. Don't you think it would be wise this December to keep that $12, $15, $25, $30 in your pocket? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Look. Now Santa comes in. Where's the tree and the Santa?
Good question.
Huh? Santa comes in and puts gifts underneath the tree. And we tell our children, or used to, y'all go to sleep because you can't get presents. Santa ain't coming if you are awake. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So I know what I used to do. I used to try to stay up all night long till I couldn't take it no more. And then in the morning when I wake up, I say, oh man, I missed her. I run to where the tree was, and the presents would be under the tree. I would say, daggone, I missed them again. And as parents, we would laugh, oh, look at this, so cute. You hide the presents, work all year, suffer, putting money aside, getting credit cards that you can't afford, going in debt, buying beautiful gifts for your children. Then when you see the joy on their face and the appreciation on their face, instead of you saying, Mama, look, baby, I sacrificed to get you these toys. Mama worked hard, Daddy worked hard, and Daddy's dead. We love you, that's why we bought you these toys. Instead of you telling them that, you get a credit to a fat white man in a red suit.
That's right. That's right.
You say, oh, it's harmless. How is it harmless?
Come on now.
Now you're teaching your children to look for their sustenance and their benefit from white people. Because you ain't got no black Santa. And if you try to dress up some black man and put him on a Santa suit, your children will tell you that ain't the real Santa.
That's a real one. That's right.
Is that right?
That's right. Yes, sir.
So you give the credit to a fat white man who came down your chimney and you in the projects ain't got no daggone chimney.
Great.
That's right.
You say, well, it's all in fun. But then you will beat the heck out of your child for lying to you and you teaching them lies.
That's right. That's what I'm doing.
That's right.
It ain't your fault. You're subject to your teachers who didn't teach you the truth. They didn't teach you the truth about nothing. They never wanted you to know the truth. When we were slaves, one representative in the House of Representatives in Virginia, I believe it was, stood up and announced to the congregation of senators and congresspersons, we have closed every avenue by which light can enter the slave's mind. Light meaning knowledge.